Brooklyn Independent Television.
I am John Gray. I'm the writer, director, and I guess producer of White Irish Drinkers. Yeah, I grew up in Bay Ridge in the 70s, and I loved it. I mean, we had a great time growing up there. We had the streets and the concrete, and we walked everywhere, or took bikes, or skated, subway when we got older. And we just loved it. It was a relatively safe, it was one of the safer areas of Brooklyn at that time. It was a kind of a little urban small town. You knew everybody in the neighborhood, you knew people owned the stores, everybody talked to each other, and it was really a great place to grow up. A lot of good memories there. Well, the biggest place for us was Lento's, which just closed. I sat at my desk and cried. And Hinch's, that was definitely a big place. And when I got older, it was mostly the bars that became the landmarks, less than the ice cream parlors. We used to go to Bliss Park. I guess the formal name is Owl's Head Park, but we called it Bliss Park. Shore Road was a big place to go down. From where I lived, it felt like going to the country, because there were nicer houses down there. People with money lived on Shore Road. Many of the movies I saw growing up that depicted the working class or the blue-collar world, I always felt they weren't really authentic. I always felt like the blue-collar people were sort of depicted as being stupid or just corrupt and just not particularly with it. The people I knew were really funny, and they were tough, and they really knew what was going on in the world. But they wouldn't be people you mess with, or you wouldn't think of them as losers. These were people who were really, really cynical and smart. And so I thought, let me try to do a movie where I can use those two aspects of the life that I grew up with and try to see if there's a movie to be made there. White Irish Drinkers. That was kind of how we considered ourselves, because my group of friends really did resist the drug culture. There was this clash of the hard hat culture, the America love it or leave it culture, and then the hippie drug culture. And my friends and I, we didn't like rock and roll. We liked soul music. We didn't like drugs. We didn't really like hippies. We had our own traditions, and this is what we believed in, and we drank. That's what we did. Some of it came from that. That's how we thought of ourselves. It just occurred to me as a provocative title, and also I just kept coming back to it because I couldn't think of another title that I liked as much, or that I felt was sort of enigmatic as much as that.
I wish I could do what you do. Make something out of nothing, instead of always the other way around.
I've been thinking a lot about the tent lately. About you and me camping. Sometimes I wish it could be simple like that again.
I'll see.
I think there are definitely autobiographical aspects, of the movie. For me, there was an element of my childhood where I knew at a very young age I wanted to write and direct movies. When I started making little movies, I suddenly started to realize that there was another consciousness that was directing the audience's attention. It wasn't something that you could talk about without getting laughed at, because it was just such a pipe dream. It's like, why don't you might as well just say you're going to walk on the moon. You want to make a filmmaker, you want to be a movie director, what is that? How do you even do that? And I had no connections, I had nobody, my father was an iron worker. Do I leave this safe, comfortable, familiar place and try to see if I can actually become a filmmaker? But I have to say it was my mother who really supported me. She didn't really understand about making movies. It was so clear to her how bad they wanted to do it. She saw that, just like in the movie when the mother gives Brian the paints. My mother one time gave me my first Super 8 camera, which she bought on the layaway plan. That was a huge thing for me, and to me, every day was going to be the day. Hollywood's going to call him. And so I think that ignorance protected me and helped me just keep going. I made this little film in 16 millimeter, and I had written a script called Billy Galvin, which was a father-son story about ironworkers. These two producers looked at my short film, they loved it, and they loved the script, and they said, let's make this movie together. And I had been trying about 6 years at that point to get that particular movie made. And we made this film, Billy Galvin. And in the meantime, we were trying to get Robert Duvall to be in the movie. I just sent a script to Robert Duvall's agent. I didn't know anybody there, and like a fairy tale. A couple of weeks later, I got this phone call from this agent at CAA who said, you know what, I read this script, and who's your agent? To make a living at that point, I'm standing on a street corner on 53rd and 5th. I'm giving out tickets to a CBS TV show, and I had a phone booth on the corner. It's still there. And I gave that number, and I would always answer it, yes, John Gray's office. And so this agent called me, and so we'd like to talk to you. We think you're a very talented writer. And I said, well, wow, I'm really a director. Yeah, of course you are. But we like your writing, and we'd like to sign you. And so I suddenly had this agent at CAA, which I then found out was like the biggest agency in Hollywood. And then I had to go, basically pick up and go to LA, and then I started writing and started to make a living as a writer. And then I never stopped. The Ghost Whisperer came about in an almost accidental way because I was having this wonderful career doing kind of high-profile TV movies. But I loved it because I was able to do things I could never do in the feature world. I did a movie about the Hunley, the first Civil War submarine. I was able to do a movie about the Lincoln assassination. An executive at CBS who I've worked with on my movies called me and said that they had just met a woman named Mary Ann who was from Ohio, and she is able to get rid of your ghosts. And I fell in love with her instantly. And so I started thinking about it. I said to her, so do you see ghosts just all the time? Just everywhere you look? They said, yeah. I said, how about right here? Oh yeah, there's 3 ghosts here at Starbucks. And when I left this meeting, I thought, well, I love horror movies. I've always been a fan of the horror genre. And I really love emotional drama, really character-driven drama. And I thought, wow, here's a chance to fuse those things and do stories about the dead and how they relate to the living, and about closure, and about grieving, and about, what's left behind and what goes with you when you die. CBS bought it. Yes, we love it. Do it. And I did the pilot. Like, I'd never done a pilot before. And I shot the pilot. I thought I'll never hear from it again. And then they finally said, okay, you're a go. We're going to give you a season. But we had a wonderful team and great producers, and we got a great writing staff, and it was ultimately a great experience. I'm so glad I did it. People make fun of the show, but really we tried to make almost a little horror movie every week that then became a more emotional story. And we had a great time. Every week was like, okay, how are we going to scare people this week? My advice to aspiring filmmakers is always make movies. That's the key thing. I can't emphasize that enough, because that's how you learn. I didn't go to film school. In fact, I didn't go to college. I don't recommend that, but it just wasn't part of the culture of my world to go to college. You just didn't do it. Really, to get out there, make a movie, figure out how it's done, work with actors, tell stories, learn how to tell stories, learn film grammar. And you can read about it all you want, but you can really only do that by getting out there and doing it.
Watch this and other Brooklyn Independent Television episodes online at brickartsmedia.org/BIT.